says
Well,
recording.
hello. We are here again.
Hi.
And Tucker is joining us as well. Say hi, Tucker. This is the Nancy and Kacey show, shining a light on your relationships. Is that the name of our show, Nancy?
Shining light on you
You.
and your relationships.
What she said. Shining a light on you and your relationships. And if you look here on my screen, you'll see a basket of dog toys right there that I tried to get out of the shot and I couldn't. So welcome to our homes. How's the weather in Virginia today?
We practically were blown away last night. It's sunny, folly, beautiful, 50, but boy, did we have the wind last night. Do you have the wind now?
Now we have the wind. It feels like, it sounds like a train.
Yes, yes.
And it's sun and clouds, and it's 40, just 40, and all the leaves are almost on the ground now.
Yes. Now here's what's happening in my heart down here. Is that I have not had frost yet. And I have a little garden, vegetable and flower garden, that I still am able to get peppers and tomatoes.
Wow.
And I have one basil plant that's just beautiful. And my zinnias are growing. If anybody's curious, I've been blogging, Kacey, about my COVID garden and living closely indefinitely. And those are available at my publisher's website, which is centralrecoverypress.com blog. And so I've been yakking and putting some photos up about these vegetables and flowers.
Central Recovery Press.
And blog.
And blog.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so great. I made a little garden too. And it was just a mess because I was a frantic lunatic and I never had a garden before, all pandemic related. Yeah, so it was very hard to get seeds.
Yeah.
And I finally had to they were like school project seeds. They weren't like, it was a school project kit that I bought. That's all I could find under organic seeds. And I just threw them in the ground and I didn't think to mark, I didn't know what came up. It's like, is that broccoli or is that lettuce? And nothing came up strong because I probably should have started them all in the house. But it kept my soul occupied.
Oh, I know.
That connection to the earth. So important.
That has been so true with me through the pandemic. Of course, I went into my own lockdown, as we all did, March 16th, I happen to remember. And the pleasure that I would get, I started working with my house plants and trimming them and slowly setting them out. This is all really about the story of dodging frost. And so I dodged it in the spring and was able to get my houseplants out and the COVID garden in. And so I still haven't had frost. So I still have my COVID garden.
Oh, that's so great. We had a little bit of snow on Saturday. On Saturday the 30th.
So I hear. So I hear. And my daughter in Boston sent me a photo of out their window. It was beautiful. Was it pretty? Yeah.
Pretty. And then it was gone. It was gone. It was beautiful in the morning and gone by lunch.
Okay.
So here we are.
That's a treat too.
Yes, it is. The season. And I bet, Nancy and I have never met each other.
Right.
This is only our second time face to face.
Exactly.
But I could talk to her forever. And I bet the way we live is very similar. I bet your part of Virginia looks a lot like my part of New York.
I looked you up on the map.
Yeah.
My husband is big on maps, so we looked up Cold Spring.
Cold Spring.
Yep.
George Washington
Bridge, so we have these rural areas. It looked beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it did.
All right. Today we are talking about a recent article, an article you put out this summer about losing yourself, 4 ways you can lose yourself in relationships. Do I have the title?
Yeah, we put the title on it, Unknowingly Lose Ourselves in the Relationships. Yes.
So Nancy is the therapist and I am the perennial codependent.
So you know what, before I go into being the meat to the potatoes, I wanted to, ask you, I know through reading about you, you do retreats as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have meat as well, Kacey.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't have all the letters after my name. You have a lot of letters after your name. In 2015, I'm a radio host, so I've emceed so many events, and one of them that I did for like 19 years in a row was a women's retreat day that a hospital put on, and I was the
Oh,
MC. And then
okay.
the hospital merged with another hospital. They stopped doing it. I missed it because it was
Mm-hmm.
the only self-care I ever got.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to a girlfriend, did I tell you this story last time? I never told you this.
No, no. And I knew I wanted to start with this. Yes.
I said to a girlfriend, listen, you're the head of the PTA. You know everyone. I want to do a women's retreat day. I can MC it and I can get you the speakers. I need you to spread the word. And we had lunch. I think it was on an August day outside in Cold Spring. I took a picture of our glasses when we were done. And I said, we planted a seed here today. And I wanted to remember that. And we planned to have the retreat on January 11th. That's how long it took to really, we wanted to do it well. We put a lot of thought behind it. And my girlfriend, Maggie, says to me, well, you have to speak, of course. And I said, I have nothing to say.
Oh.
I said, I'm the MC, and I do a radio show on health and women's health topics, but I'm just the MC. She says, go home and write a little something. I wrote 3 hours worth of material. Yes. Apparently, I had something to say. And what happened at that first retreat was my presentation was called Everything I Need to Know I Learned on the Radio. And it was about all the lessons of, like in a radio show, one of the rules is smile. When you smile, your voice is warmer. People tune in, they connect to it. And that was a lesson. Another lesson is keep moving forward. On the radio, we very rarely go backwards and say, remember what we were talking about last hour? We're always talking about what's ahead, ahead. And then making mistakes on the radio, how that's a valuable lesson to shake it off. And I had all of these, I loved it so much, that presentation, if it doesn't sound too egotistical. And I got such a great feedback from it. I started to go around to local libraries and luncheons and give the presentation over and over again. So everything I need to know I learned on the radio, I should probably just write the book. But I've presented it many, many places here in the Hudson Valley.
Yes. No, that's just fabulous.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And I really should put it down because it's just great life lessons, that for me, that resonate with everybody because we've all learned the same things, just, in different ways. And radio's fun. People like to know what happens, behind the scenes.
Yeah. So. No, well, that's interesting to hear since, some of the publicity, the reason I did this article we're going to comment on here, and the reason you and I met is because this Entangle came out, its second edition, and my publisher had some great publicists helping me get these opportunities. So I've done a bunch of radio interviews, and it is its own world, isn't it, Kacey? I mean, it's like, and go.
And go.
And so just listening to what you're saying is valuable to me about moving forward, and you may make a mistake, and, because I've had to get on board that wagon.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't realize you're calling into a radio station for an interview. You might not have 1 minute to get your thoughts together.
That's right.
Pick up the phone and here we go. We've got Nancy on the line, right? So from that, I started to do motivational speaking and then women's retreats. And then, now I'm with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Motivational speaking. Kacey, see, that's just fabulous. Yes. So, part of the reason I wanted to ask those things is just more and more, we both bring a lot to this conversation. And I just think it'll help us with our back and forth. Yes. Yeah.
Now I have a question for you as we jump into the topic.
Yes.
About the ways we unknowingly lose ourselves. Is that the word, unknowingly?
Right. Yeah.
Here's my big overall question. And why do some people lose themselves in relationships? Why do some people just fall over the edge?
Yeah, I think that, I will answer that. I'm going to go back one more step though and say that as you asked me about the title, you, shining light on you and your relationships. The reason you is so important is that through our conversations and my writing, what we're doing is helping us to understand and cultivate a healthy self. And then that self interacts in the relationship. And so if we can't, it's so important, and that's what we're doing that makes this show special, I would say. We're not just talking about how to interact in a relationship. We're really shining light, literally, on, oh, what am I bringing and what am I doing in the relationship that maybe is helping it to be what I want, or whoa, it's going the wrong direction. Let me stop and look at myself and see what I'm doing. So unknowingly, I think that people go too far with it. Let's say that it can start from very good places. Somebody really wants to make somebody else happy. Somebody really likes to please or to do things for other people. Well, let's just linger there for a minute. This, we may like to give gifts. We may like to create a nice dinner for someone. We may, want to learn what their special things are and what they like, because it is our nature perhaps to like to operate that way. I mean, this is only one possible category, but it's a friendly, warm one. And what happens is there's nothing wrong with that. But as we go along in the relationship, we want to pay attention to, hopefully, mutuality is what I was going to say, crops up. So they're like, hey, you did that last time, my turn. Or, I appreciate that. So, I want to I'll plan that activity, or I'll come up with that money or whatever. So we want to just always be watching, I would say, for mutuality. And if my tendencies have me wanting to either please or control, see, control can come in there too. I just want to have it my way. Yeah, I just really want, the meal to look like this or be like this. We just want to watch ourselves and see if we are blocking some mutuality.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two thoughts came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I have a girlfriend, an acquaintance really, but our mothers went to nursing school together. Okay. So they were nurses. They went to school together. They were nurses together. We're around the same age. Our mothers are exactly the same age, born on the same day. How crazy is that?
Oh,
right?
Wow. Okay.
I know. Neither mother allowed us, the children, or even adult children, to participate in the Thanksgiving meal. Like if I called to say I'm baking a cake, my girlfriend the same thing, I'm bringing a pie, the answer was no, I have it covered.
Right. Yes. No.
Right?
It is a version of it. Yes.
Is that, like our moms had that same thing, that they ruled the holiday meal and no one else could participate. And that's the way it went until my mother could no longer, lift the huge pots and things like that. Right. And then the holidays finally changed a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that was control or.
Well, okay. Here's where, in many ways, that can be okay. My mom was actually very, very similar. Anything I brought was just, she wouldn't say no to, but it was always extra, Kacey. I mean, so I started bringing potato soup, and that was nice, but it didn't cut her out of she still did the same things. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I think that if the person enjoys it, if that is their role, if they are, if this is a traditional thing in their way, that is okay, unless that person later on complains about it, says no one helps, and starts actually an interesting word that comes up in this field sometimes is we become a martyr. Here we did all of this, and then all of a sudden no one understands us or no one does for us like we do for them. Ooh, that means I have probably given too much or done too much. I need to cut back because, Yeah, because I'm giving and giving, and somewhere in there I do have some expectation that somebody else is going to do something, and I need to just step back and check myself and check those expectations.
Right.
So it may have been okay unless they were exhausted and it contributed to poor health, I would say, or a bad attitude, or they couldn't join you at the table because they were too tired.
Yeah. I think in my mom's case, and I hope she never sees this,
Right.
she really didn't join us at the table. She really loved to serve the family. She wasn't one to really sit down for too long and chat.
Right.
Just
Yes.
wasn't her thing. So
which we were chatting about.
And they were great meals.
So yes, so Kacey, again, I honor her and her if she doesn't want to sit down and doesn't want and wants to serve. That is who she is. The work that the disentangling work I do is where we are mad about that we aren't sitting down.
Right.
We are mad that no one else is getting up to help. But we don't ask for help, and we even turn down help when it's offered. No, I'll get it. You know, it's an internal thing. So if it suits her and it suited your family, then it's okay. But I think it's when we become resentful or we have to pay attention to how we're feeling when we're doing things, when we're offering things to other people. And hopefully it's free and we're glad to be doing it. But the minute we start, this is about you and your relationship. So the minute I start feeling sad or alone or unconsidered, I really did mean the word that way, then I need to stop and look at myself and what I need to do for me. And it may be that I need to speak up with some I statements and tell somebody else what I need from them as well.
Right, right. All right. So in this wonderful article, you've got these 4 ways we unknowingly lose ourselves. And one of the ways is dropping everything.
Yeah, this would be where, you know, we have a fitness routine that we like to do and instead, and we could do this with children, partners, or the article is slightly angled at new relationships too, where we're like, I'm fully available. Anytime will do, when in fact, I really needed to get to bed earlier, or I really needed to finish a project at work, or, you know, I really wanted to do something. One of the examples there is, you know, say I'm a single mom and I usually go to my daughter's basketball game, and instead I say, never mind, I won't go to that game so I can spend time with this other person. We want to, those aren't, again, no rules. I'm really big on no rules, but I need to pay attention to myself and notice if I'm starting to drop these things, just so I can either see this person, be with this person, keep this person happy.
Yeah. You know, I think you just hit on the big billboard for me. You need to pay attention to yourself. And so many times we get lost in life and don't pay attention to ourselves. I have a little, on my phone, a little, what do you call it, memo note that goes off once a day that says, how do I feel right now? And what do I really need? Just because without that reminder, I could get lost. My tendency is to just keep doing, going, whatever. And that makes me look and say, how do I feel right now? And what do I really need? You know, I know that sounds so basic.
No, Kacey, that is the heart of what my work has been about. Yeah. It is, again, that everything you just said in a beautiful way. Yeah. And setting up reminders. Yeah. One of the things I do is suggest we put in pauses between activities, just, you know, a pause. For me, I see mental health, I have clients and I create a pause in between the one and the other. And it's the breath and the resettling myself and how I am and what do I need? Do I need water? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Will I be helped if I go ahead and squeeze in a call that needs to be made?
Right. I have another reminder on my phone that says drink water.
Okay. I probably need that one.
You know, it's funny, one of my little routines, because I'm constantly folding things into my life to keep myself healthier. And one of them is when I'm at a red light or a stop sign.
Okay.
That's my time to take deep breaths.
It's excellent. It's excellent. I agree.
Might be the only deep breaths I get that day, but it's like, oh, I'm stopped? Okay. All right.
Yes.
So a red flag is when you do that drop everything thing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
rush off.
Drop everything so that we are available to and accommodating the other person.
Right.
Again, balance, Kacey, is always what I'm shooting for. Okay. I do want to consider them, but it's everything you just beautifully said. We want to be tuned into self and know, you know, I mean, Kacey, it's so basically, it is everything we're talking about is basic. So, you know, my husband, if we're watching a movie and we don't start it till late, I'm good for half of it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go to bed after that. He can stay up later than I do. And so, you know, I feel like a dull date, you know, saying, I'm sorry, but can we put it on pause? We can watch it the rest of the, you know, tomorrow night.
Right.
He has no trouble with that. And
Right.
I am attending to how I need to be, but I swear we don't like to do that. But it's so important that I stop and go to bed.
You say, recognize when you will do anything to make the relationship work.
Yeah.
Again, talking about probably new relationships, new romantic relationships.
Right. Yeah. And that's really moving down. That's really a great sentence, but also talking about an extreme, which does mean, you know, we'll skip out on work when we really can't afford to do that, or we will well, again, another form of make ourselves available in some form, or we'll disappoint our kids. You know, again, that's coming from a single parent dating type, you know, type concept. You know, it gets into things like even dressing in ways that aren't true for ourselves, or making ourselves up in a way that is not true for ourselves, or you know, presenting ourselves in a way that is just not true for me. So now I don't need to get into the details of that, but I think you follow what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I mean, these are deeper and deeper ways that we are moving away from what is true for me.
Yeah.
And there's the you in relationships again. Am I being true to what is true for me?
Isn't it amazing that people can abandon themselves?
It is
Abandon themselves.
Right.
And do
Yes.
things that they really don't want to do or don't feel right to them for the sake of having this relationship.
Yes. And it does get into, all of a sudden I'm thinking about secure and insecure attachments, and I'm not going to pull out a PowerPoint and get to yakking about that, but it does have to do with our basic core human need for a secure, loving relationship. And we do want to pay attention to the choices we make to make sure we're headed in that direction and not abandoning ourselves as we are trying to get that secure relationship. Most importantly in there is that we want to get a relationship, be involved in a relationship that loves us for who we are. That's the secure attachment relationship, is that I'm okay with who I am, and I know you like me for who I am. And you know who I am, because I've let you know who I am. And then the relationship has a lot of potential for growth.
But first, you have to know yourself and love yourself.
Yes. Yes. And that's the back to the checking in all of the time, Kacey, the checking in and catching when, and our feelings and our body give us cues that say, that didn't feel right. I mean, I can think back about choices I've made in relationships over a lifetime, really. I mean, that sounds like a ton of them. They're not, but they're poignant ones where I was not true to who I was. But what was really important is that I felt it. It did not feel right. And I regretted a choice. And that was data to me, not to make me feel bad about myself, but just that's not who I am. Let me regroup. That's not who I am.
I don't think I knew who I was till I was about 42. Just saying.
Yeah, no,
I honestly don't think I knew who I was until I was 42.
Exactly. No, I hear you. And I think that adolescence in general runs easily up to about 30, by the way. The tasks of adolescence are identity and independence. And so to be, I mean, I'm giving you an answer. I think that in many ways, knowing who we are, our culture doesn't encourage this type of thinking all along about who am I, as opposed to these are the courses I'm going to take, this is the track I'm going to be in high school, this is the path I'm going to carve for myself. You know, I could go on and on. Right. And so those are what we call external things, and they're very important. But in the middle of that, where do we learn to check in and go, well, wait a minute. You know, is that what I really want to be doing? You know?
And it's such a wonderful thing to get to know yourself, you know, and this, oh God, you know, it's just so, it's wild to me that there isn't more of that in our curriculum. Like, let's explore who you are. I guess there's more of it today than when I was young.
Kacey, there is more of it. I worked at a college 20 years ago, and I was so impressed with the students then about, they were asking questions and they were interested. I was a therapist, and they were just, their introspection and self-awareness was much greater than I would have had at that age. I wouldn't have even been in a counselor's office at that age. What can I say?
Oh, that's so great. So great that things are changing. Ignoring problems.
Yeah, ignoring red flags. And that could be things like, I'll use some of the examples from the article. And again, it's in Pucker Mom, August 2020. That would be if we're with someone and we notice the bill comes and they're never ready to meet halfway on the payment, however you handle your payments there. And they're like, I'll get it next time. And then you notice, oh, next time the patterns, we want to start noticing, you know, patterns that may come up. A good one, and some of this is for early getting to know people, would be if you notice that they always want to come to your place and never have you over to their place, and don't want to let you in to see what their place, what their home looks like, which is telling you more about them and how they are. I mean, it's any slew of things. It could be critical comments that they make that you just sort of let brush off. It could be them asking you about your friends, or, I mean, you know, in a way that makes you think they might be interested in them. I mean, these would be things that we feel it. It's a blow. It's like, oh, or when they're not paying, we're like, I'm sorry, but we really don't want to let that be water over the dam if it becomes a pattern. We want to stop and say, wow, okay, these things bother me. And if we can find I statements and say, you know, let's talk about who's paying for what before we go today.
Yeah, but it's so scary, especially if you don't have a strong sense of self, if you're not crazy about yourself and protective of yourself. And it's so hard to say, can we just talk about this weird little thing? Am I getting this wrong? But, how come, am I reading this right? It's so hard. Just thinking about having to do that gives me butterflies.
So let me see quickly, what could I say to that? Because it is so hard. It is so hard. I think that you notice as I'm talking back with you, Kacey, I slow myself down. You will probably see this in almost any interview, because now I'm doing what I'm recommending other people do, and that's pause and slow down and really stop and think. And so in that case, I think that what we have to do is, let's play with the who's paying for what thing. Let's just use that. I need to recognize that first of all, on my own, away from the other person, I have to recognize, man, I'm tired of this. And this is just not okay with me. I'm finding either I don't want to go out to eat again together, or I'm just mad about it. Okay. When I reach that place, I want to learn to speak up for Nancy.
Right.
I want to learn that I don't want that in a relationship. And so I want to listen to that. And ideally, I want to work on simply trying to construct an I sentence, an I statement that might say, and I'd rehearse it. Again, none of this is with the other person. This is either with me on my own, or me and a girlfriend, or me in a workbook, or me in a journal, me and a counselor. Okay, counselor and the I statement might be, first of all, I might say, I really like you, and I'm really glad we're seeing each other. And I want to keep doing that. I just would like to know, we're about to go out to eat. Let's talk about how we're paying for it first.
Right. And then be prepared for him to say something dumb.
Yes. So give me you can give me something dumb back, Kacey. What anything come to mind? We can role play any old time.
Okay. Well, the thing is, we already know the answer, I think. If you're going out with a guy and he hasn't put his hands in his pocket to get the check once, twice, there is a problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think if you say to this guy, I just want to talk about this, like, who's going to pay for dinner tonight? You can get, oh, well, I'll take care of the bill this time, ha ha ha. Or you might get something snotty. You might get something like, oh, well, I bought the gas. He's already not the guy for you, right? He's already
probably not. Notice I was giving the benefit of the doubt, but probably not. Then that's a different internal work.
Yeah.
That says there's so much I like about him. I'm talking to myself, not him. But I love it, Kacey. Yeah. He's not for me. I'm not interested in years of this type of dealing with money like this. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back to a relationship. I was over the moon crazy for this man. Mm-hmm. Over the moon. Like, the one that you'll think about forever. And I said to him, we've been seeing each other for a while now. What's going on here? And he said, well, why do we have to poke it with a stick and give it a name? I'll never forget that as long as I live. It's like, if you have to ask the question, he's probably not the guy for you.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Now, here's the thing, and this is why we're talking about this at all. Everything you're saying is 100% correct. How did you extract yourself? See, that becomes the issue, is like, for some of us, it's still hard to say bye-bye. Do you know what you drew from? Yeah. What helped you to, you were over the moon with him. What helped?
I think just, I couldn't take the I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the unknowing. I wanted something stable, and it was not. It was wonderful. Whenever I saw him, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But I wanted a boyfriend. He wanted to have fun.
So it was a strong listening to yourself thing, which is what, again, the work is about. It's like, yeah, all of those feelings, and it wasn't, you were being honest and realistic with yourself. It's not a match.
No.
Who he is and what he's offering is not a match. That's so important. That's so healthy, is seeing the reality of it and then taking that stand.
Did we get the 4 things? No. Did I get them all? Because I don't know if I'm reading my handwriting.
Right. So let me, what we did, because I reviewed them before it's dropping everything. Mm-hmm. It's doing anything to make the relationship work. It is ignoring these red flags. And the last one has been woven into everything we've been talking about. And that's silencing your own voice. Mm. That's the 4th one. And I mean, that is where we don't speak up. And by the way, I know we're talking about significant other relationships. This could be with friendships as well, Kacey. I was thinking, I mean, we could well have a friend who we find we're always paying the bill for, and so it does apply. It applies with coworkers as well. Right. But the one about the voice is where we are not stopping and not saying, I really don't want to do that. Or no, that doesn't suit me. Or I have plans to be at the gym then. Or my daughter expects me at the basketball game. And I think it's important to remember that anytime we are not speaking up, we are, I think I say it in the article, eclipsing ourselves, abandoning ourselves, but eclipsing ourselves. The circles I talked about showed. Where one relationship intersects and overlaps the other. Right. And the more we are lost in that other relationship, we're eclipsing ourselves, and our voice we just say whatever.
2 things. First, here's the book. Nancy's book. I love it. One of Nancy's books. I love this book. 2 things. It feels so good. As scary as it is, it feels so good to speak up for yourself. It just feels so clean and so healthy. And oh my gosh, like you just ran a marathon. I never ran a marathon, but I imagine that feels like it feels so good. If you're not used to speaking up for yourself, when you finally do. Yeah. And like my father used to say when we played golf, there's no points for pretty, Case, just hit the ball. Sometimes when you do speak up for yourself, it won't be beautiful. This is a practice. These I statements are a practice.
They certainly are.
For me, when I speak up for myself, sometimes it comes out like bull in a china shop, but it comes out, which is better than staying in. The other thing I was going to say is I'm a Reiki healer. I don't know if you know that about me.
I didn't. Only I read it somewhere, Kacey. So great. Yes.
So yesterday I'm working on a client, and I'm on her throat chakra. Mm-hmm. And I have a sensation that makes me ask a question. And I said, so how are you at speaking up for yourself? Wow. And she started to cry. And it was good. She had a realization that we finally found out why she was on the Reiki table. Because I'm like, what made you come today? She said, I don't know. Something just called to me. She had never been to Reiki before. So, she found the reason why we were working together. But it's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon. And in fact, within a day, any of us can notice moments where we're like, I should have said something, or, and it can range anywhere from big, with everything going on with the politics and the pandemic, to just a preference for, how the hamburgers are cooked tonight. Right. I mean, it is so common. Yeah. And so maybe I'll just challenge our listeners to notice that.
Notice it.
That, you know, as you leave our wonderful show and live your day, notice, be present with yourself in a moment and see if you're tempted to not speak up, and you catch your breath and say, no, I'll go ahead and say.
Right.
Use
And
my
it's just as good to say, I see that I didn't speak up this time,
voice.
right?
It's beautiful, Kacey.
Because I'm not going to beat myself up. I see
No,
that I
it's
didn't
great.
speak up this time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. But I'm going to have more courage or try a little differently next time.
Yes.
You know?
No, that is absolutely beautiful. And I totally agree. And what I'm thinking is what the viewers don't know is we are so on similar pages and energy and ways of thinking about all of this. You'd think we came out of the same schools of thought.
Right. We are perfect examples of coming at it from two different places, you know?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I took the rocky road. You took the higher road.
I don't know. We can compare notes on Rocky and High and see.
Well, every road has its rocky parts, that's for sure.
Yes, it does.
All right, so I have 2 snoring dogs at my feet and 1 sleeping dog in my arms. And what's the rest of your day look like in Virginia?
Well, I have I have my next appointment is a Zoom interview with my publisher. We're trying to figure out what my next work is going to be with them. So that's, and I have no idea. I've thrown ideas out. It'll be so it's a pretty big meeting this afternoon.
Good luck. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, and in a mundane way, I had needed a toaster oven, and I got a toaster oven this morning, so I'm setting it up in the kitchen.
That's a great feeling. That's a great feeling. Nothing better than a new toaster oven. That's good.
And how about you? What's next in your day?
I'm going to meet a Zoom call with a woman who, I have a foundation called Let It Shine.
Yes.
That helps women, and my friend has a foundation that helps women veterans, and together we're putting on a virtual retreat for women veterans on Sunday.
Good luck with that.
So if you know any women veterans, send them my way.
I sure will. I sure will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good time with that. Yes.
When I see you again, we will have an election behind us.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Okay.
See you. Yes. See you next Monday.
That's all we're going to say about that.
That's all we can say.
That's all we can say. All right. Thank you, Nancy.
But it may be giving us material to talk about, Kacey. So.
Because I wonder, you know, I'm a northerner, you're a southerner. We could talk for days about all kinds of things.
Well, here's the thing I'd say about that. The only way that the main way I'm a southerner is my address.
Okay, I get that, because I love, here I go on a tangent, but I love being from New York. Mm-hmm. There's something like this Hudson Valley, this Hudson River, yeah, I'm crazy about it. But I really see myself more as like a global citizen, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I mean, I definitely am living in a very, specific rural Virginia location. And I'll go for global. We'll take it there. Yes.
So we're Nancy and Kacey, global citizens. Nancy L. Johnston is the one with all the letters after her name and has a wonderful book, one of a couple. And thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Kacey. And thanks for watching.
Thank you for
watching.
You again. See you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh-oh.
What?
It is recording. Did it get it?
But if